The internet isn't short on video essays dissecting every aspect of The Simpsons.
Hi, I'm Michael, and this is Lessons from the Screenplay. Marge vs. the Monorail, written by Conan O'Brien, is widely considered the best episode of The Simpsons. So how did he accomplish this? In his book, Story, Robert McKee describes the principles of story design.
The legendary Duke Ellington once said, "By and large, jazz has always been the kind of a man you wouldn't want your daughter to associate with." And by that measure, I think there are few artists that so perfectly personify jazz like Bleeding Gums Murphy. Let's take a closer look.
Look at the movie McBain. The editing doesn't just enhance the action and help give the audience information, it's also a vehicle for writers to deliver jokes on a secondary level.
In the end, there will always be a hole in the middle of the donut, a nothingness. And sooner or later, like Homer, we must all face that existential emptiness.
Matt Groening got his start self-publishing his comic book Life in Hell and sold them at Licorice Pizza, the record store in Hollywood where he worked at the time.
That often parodies famous horror films like Nightmare on Elm Street and The Shining. They consistently rank as some of the highest rated episodes of the show, as well as my own personal favorites.
Groening approached Elfman suggesting something retro, and Elfman would end up writing the tune in his car on the way home from that meeting.
It's as if everyone has an opinion on the show, and I guess it's hard not to. The pop culture phenom has been a main staple of primetime television for over 33 years, which is longer than most video essayists have even been alive. Over 5 years ago, when I was still screaming into a blank void of obscurity on YouTube and just trying to get my channel off the ground, I made The Day The Simpsons Died with just my 5th video, and I never expected the response it would get. I mean, it's the internet, so of course the response was either glowing or volatile, but it struck a chord with people, tugging at the heartstrings of nostalgia for a beloved show that has touched so many people. It's still my second most popular video with over 4 million views. It basically made my channel what it is today. And so with my 100th video, I thought it only fitting to come back to The Simpsons. But this time, I'm leaving behind the negativity, forgetting all about the show's eventual downfall in its 9th season, and this time, I'm bringing positivity, focusing on The Simpsons' humbled beginnings, the elements that made it great, until we find the first episode that perfectly embodied the show at its peak. So with that, I give you The Day The Simpsons Was Born. But before I get to that, I want to take a quick second to thank the sponsor of this video, Established Titles. As we all know, Homer has had a lot of job titles over the years.
Mascot, astronaut, imitation Krusty, baby proofer, trucker.
But he's never been given the title of Lord, but you actually can. Established Titles is a project based on a historic Scottish custom where landowners are referred to as lords and ladies. They allow people to buy as little as 1 square foot of dedicated land in Groundskeeper Willie's home country of Scotland, specifically a private estate in Aberdeenshire, Scotland, so that they can call themselves a lord or lady. Each purchase comes with an official certificate with the exact location of your land, so you can officially change your name to lord or lady and get it on your credit card or plane tickets. It works great as a silly and fun gift for that someone special in your life. Not only are you buying a unique gift, but you're also helping Established Titles raise funds to support global afforestation effort groups like One Tree Planted and Trees for the Future. And Established Titles also plants a tree for every order. Right now, Established Titles is having a big sale, and if you use my unique code EntertainTheElk, one word, at checkout, you'll get an additional 10% off. So go to establishedtitles.com/entertaintheelk to get your gift right now and help support my channel at the same time. Unless you've been living under a rock for the past 33 years, you know that The Simpsons got its start in 1987, serving as short segments on the variety program The Tracy Ullman Show.
Don't let the bed bugs bite. Bed bugs?
Matt Groening created the show, modeling the family after his own family, even naming most of the characters after his own family. The short segments quickly became the highlight of the show, becoming so popular that Matt Groening, along with James L. Brooks and Sam Simon, decided to adapt The Simpsons into a half-hour primetime series. The first episode ever produced was titled Some Enchanted Evening, where Bart, Lisa, and Maggie are left with a babysitter who happens to be a wanted burglar known as the Babysitter Bandit. It was the first episode produced, but actually ended up airing as the season 1 finale because of a major issue with the animation.
Okay, reliving the most horrifying experience in our professional lives. Well, there's some competition.
And
you can see Marge just gains and loses weight,
Yeah. Here's where she turns into a frog. Everything's rubbery.
Oh my gosh.
It's just...
I feel sorry for us in retrospect.
They don't even obey the laws of physics. It's amazing.
Well, they obey he's extremely Fred Flintstone.
No, if this is what we were stuck with, there would have been no show.
At the time, there were only a few choices for animation style. Animators would usually follow two main styles, Disney and Warner Brothers, which tended to be set in pliable universes where the characters and environments seemed to be made of rubber.
Then pour into stew pot.
Or Hanna-Barbera, which relied on exaggerated sound effects.
Old Reliable is on his way! Hiya! Don't lift anything, I'll do it all!
This is not what the producers wanted for the show. They wanted The Simpsons to be a realistic environment in which the characters and objects couldn't do anything that wasn't possible in the real world. Groening's strict writing rules were only one of the major rules the show and its creators were to adhere to. There was also guides on the do's and don'ts of character animation, and an in-depth guide on directing and blocking from Brad Bird, who had a major part in helping adapt The Simpsons into a half-hour show before later going on and winning Academy Awards. Working within these parameters is what helped The Simpsons stand apart from other animated shows at the time. This wasn't a cartoon with anvils falling on heads. This was a regular primetime sitcom family that just happened to be animated. The Simpsons premiered on December 17th, 1989, with the episode Simpsons Roasting on an Open Fire, and it perfectly encapsulated the tone and look of the first two seasons. The world and its cast of characters were more crudely drawn, needing tweaking and adjustments before they found the right look, and the voices of these characters were slightly off too from what we would eventually come to know. But just as important as that, the writers continually tweaked the tonal balance of the storylines. The show lacked the more slapstick and sillier sensibilities it would gain in later seasons. In the first season, it was drier and even downright grim at times. Homer trying to commit suicide in Homer's Odyssey, Lisa's depression in Moaning Lisa, marital issues in Life on the Fast Lane and Homer's Night Out. Season 2 still had darker, more serious storylines, but managed to strike a better tonal balance with some infused heart, like Homer's near-death experience in One Fish, Two Fish, Blowfish, Bluefish, the flashback of how Homer and Marge first fell in love in The Way We Was, and Lisa's heartbreak in Lisa's Substitute.
Mr. Bergstrom, I'm gonna miss you.
Another dynamic that ran through the first two seasons was the show's hyperfixation on Bart. He became this icon overnight, a symbol of youthful rebellion. It was Bartmania. His face was everywhere. Magazines, video games, t-shirts that were getting banned from schools. Michael Jackson even wrote and co-produced the hit single Do the Bartman because he loved the show so much, which is also why he wanted so badly to guest star on the show, which he would eventually do in season 3.
People thought I was crazy for the way I dressed.
What'd you wear?
One white glove covered with rhinestones.
The creative staff at The Simpsons tried to capitalize on his popularity, and so they had more storylines that focused on Bart. There was Bart the Genius, Bart the General, The Telltale Head, The Crepes of Wrath, Bart Gets an F, Dead Putting Society, Bart vs. Thanksgiving, Bart the Daredevil, Bart Gets Hit by a Car, Bart's Dog Gets an F, and The Three Men and a Comic Book. Now, Homer had his share of episodes in the first two seasons, and Bart would certainly have many, many more episodes with him as a focal point in future seasons, but in those first two seasons, it was like the show revolved around Bart, which limited the possibilities of the show.
The phenomenon was so much Bart-centric.
When did you, as the writers, make the decision to shift from Bart to Homer? And I say we never had any conscious long-term plan over anything. It was just probably that as we aged, or we thought of Homer stories more easily than Bart stories.
It's a 10-year-old boy. There's never been much he can do.
Homer could be a Law and Order guy, and now I'm a hippie.
In a world that's trying to remain true to life, there's only so much a fourth grade kid can do. And so coming up with storylines for Bart became more difficult. That's why the show seemed to slowly shift focus from Bart to Homer, an adult character with a bank account, car, no curfew, and little sense just has so many more creative possibilities in comparison to an 8-year-old. Shifting focus from Bart to Homer was a big step in the right direction for the show. But in the first 2 seasons, the writers were still putting themselves in a creative corner by focusing solely on the Simpson family. I mean, it makes sense why they would do that. When you're starting a television show, you want to quickly establish and develop the main characters. But the show took another step once it started expanding the world of Springfield and its vast cast of characters. They started doing this a little bit in season 2, with Mr. Burns in 2 cars in every garage and 3 eyes on every fish, Principal Skinner and Selma in Principal Charming, and Grandpa Simpson in Old Money. But they really began expanding the world of the series and developing the supporting characters from the very beginning of season 3, with Ned Flanders in When Flanders Failed, and Krusty the Clown in Like Father Like Clown. Now, there were plenty of excellent episodes in the first 2 seasons, and certainly in the beginning of season 3, but I think everything finally came together creatively for the first time on November 21st, 1991, with the episode Flaming Moe's, the day The Simpsons was born. In the episode, Homer shares a recipe for a drink he invented to Moe, whose business is struggling financially. The recipe is one that Homer came up with accidentally when Patty and Selma made his family watch slides from their vacation, comprised of a mixture of random liquor bottles and Krusty brand cough syrup, all set on fire to balance out the alcohol content. The result is an incredible tasting drink that Homer coined a Flaming Homer, but Moe steals for his own business and calls a Flaming Moe.
Well, it's called a Flaming
Moe. It's called a Flaming Moe. That's right, a Flaming Moe. My name is Moe and I invented it.
Moe renames his tavern Flaming Moe's, and it quickly becomes the trendiest night spot in Springfield, with everyone wanting to know the secret recipe. Homer becomes obsessed by Moe's betrayal and eventual success, and after growing mad with resentment, he tells everyone the recipe out of revenge.
Cough syrup. Nothing but plain, ordinary, over-the-counter children's cough syrup.
Now, with every bar and restaurant able to sell their own version of the Flaming Moe, Moe's business dwindles again, and he and Homer's friendship is able to be reconciled.
Compliment to the house. One Flaming Homer.
Aw, thanks, Moe.
All creative elements seem to be building towards this episode. Matt Groening's strict rule of animated reality was stretched a bit to allow room for sillier and more slapstick humor, but never sacrificed the overall tone and emotional stakes of the story. For example, when Homer is in his maddened, delusional state, he sees Moe's face everywhere, on men, women, children, and even plants. It's a funny visual gag that stretches reality, but still gives us a glimpse inside Homer's mental state, which the audience needs in order to track his progression from frustration to near insanity, and ultimately his motivation for divulging the secret recipe. This episode was just another example of why it was so important to shift the focus of the show from Bart to Homer. The possibilities of what Homer can do are endless compared to Bart, who is basically confined to his home and school. But this episode also reinforced the importance of shifting away from the Simpsons family towards other side characters. This is our first time really getting to know Moe the bartender, who has his own character arc and has multiple scenes without any of the Simpsons family. I also feel like this is the first episode where the town of Springfield felt alive and lived in. All the party scenes at Flaming Moe's had this palpable energy as we hop from one character to the next, each getting a little moment of their own, and we're able to see different shades of these characters we've never really seen before, since we're seeing them outside of their usual element. Like Edna Krabappel outside of the school.
Single parent, are we?
No!
Well, let's pretend you are.
Get away from me.
And Krusty the Clown outside the TV studio.
Krusty, over here! What the?
All these little moments felt like individual brushstrokes, making up a larger painting that you want so badly to step into because it feels so real. Flaming Moe's also has all the pieces you'd want from a perfect Simpsons episode. Character-driven storyline.
But honey, he's your friend, Morris. And you took advantage of him.
Rapid-paced gags and jokes.
The secret ingredient is love. Who's been screwing with this thing?
A little heart and sentimentality. Pop culture references. Celebrity guests. And so many memorable quotes.
Oh, look at me. I'm making people happy. I'm the magical man from Happy Land.
Great episodes came before it, but Flaming Moe's really heralded the beginning of The Simpsons' golden age that would last through its 8th season. Perhaps the best run of any show in television history. Until that fateful day on September 28th, 1997. No. This video is about positivity. Staying positive. Okay, so with positivity in mind, here are my personal top 10 favorite Simpsons episodes of all time. First, honorable mentions for Lisa's Substitute, Homer at the Bat, and Marge versus the Monorail. 10, Treehouse of Horror 5. 9, Last Exit to Springfield. 8, Duffless. 7, Deep Space Homer. 6, Mr. Plow. 5, Homer's Triple Bypass. 4, And Maggie Makes 3. 3, Homer Goes to College. 2, Homer the Heretic. And 1, Lemon of Troy. When I look at my list of top 10 episodes, a few thoughts come to mind. First, picking my top 10 episodes was a lot harder than I thought it'd be. Season 3 through 8 is truly special, and you can't really go wrong picking most episodes from that golden age run. Second, this list really highlights the elements of the show when it was at its best. Homer as the main focus, clever writing with non-stop gags and cultural references, but also the balance of slapstick, intelligence, and heart. And lastly, it makes me consider the way I used to watch The Simpsons when I was a kid versus how I watch it now as an adult. When I was a kid watching The Simpsons, I enjoyed the animation, I enjoyed the slapstick humor, and the few references I actually understood. It felt dangerous, like I was watching something I wasn't supposed to be, especially since so many of my friends growing up weren't allowed to watch The Simpsons. When I was younger, I watched it thinking I was Bart, when actually I was probably Lisa, the younger sibling who was more sensitive and emotional. I chose to play the saxophone when I was in 7th grade band because I didn't know much about music at the time, but I knew that I loved the way music sounded when Lisa Simpson played it on TV. But now, as I watch The Simpsons as an adult, a husband, and a father, obviously I understand so many more of the references, which makes those golden age episodes still feel fresh after 30 years. But also, I can't help but relate to Homer in so many ways. The sacrifices you make for your family, struggling to be the best husband and father you can be in spite of the mistakes, wrestling with your religion through trials and suffering. There's so many moments that make me cry now that never did when I was a kid.
Goodbye, Lisa. I know you'll make me proud.
Daddy.
It's a testament to the show's multi-layered writing that made it so all ages could enjoy it for different reasons during those years. The Golden Age. That started on November 21st, 1991, with the episode Flaming Moe's, the day The Simpsons was born. You just watched my 100th video on the channel, and I really hope you enjoyed it. If this is your first time watching one of my videos, or if you've been here over 5 years ago with that first Stanley Kubrick video, I just want to thank you all so much for watching over these past 5 years and 100 videos. It's so wild that it's been 100 and covered so much, and so many people out there just really supported the channel, and so I just want to thank you all for watching, supporting. I want to thank all my patrons for all their financial support. Between them and the sponsors over the years, they've been really the lifeblood of this channel and have helped me keep this channel going and do what I do and enjoy what I enjoy. So if you want to support the channel and help me make more videos, consider being a patron. Patrons get exclusive rewards, behind the scenes content, or early releases. I'll have a link below so you can go check it out. I also want to give a special thanks to Lessons from the Screenplay, Polyphonic, Royal Ocean Film Society, Middle 8, Thomas Flight, Like Stories of Old, and Daniel Netzel for helping out with this video. I'm so thankful for them taking time out of their busy YouTube schedules and creating great content to just be a small part of this video and make it a little bit more special. I'll have a link to all of their channels below also. If you haven't already seen their fantastic work on YouTube, go check them out right now. Go subscribe to them and go support those amazing channels. Thank you again so much, everyone, for supporting Entertain the Elk over these past 5 years and 100 videos. If you're not already, make sure you're subscribed to the channel, but also make sure you click the bell below. That way you don't have to rely on YouTube sharing my videos with you, but you can know that you're never gonna miss a new video whenever it comes out. Thanks again, everyone, and here's to 100 more videos.